I was in the airport VIP lounge en route to Seattle a couple of weeks ago. While there, I noticed Bill Gates sitting comfortably in the corner enjoying a drink. I was meeting a very important client who was also flying to Seattle, but she was running a little bit late. Well, being a straightforward kind of guy, I approached the Microsoft ex-chairman, introduced myself, and said, "Mr. Gates, I wonder if you would do me a favor." "Yes," he asked. "I'm sitting right over there," pointing to my seat at the bar, "and I'm waiting for a very important client. Would you be so kind when she arrives as to come by and just say, 'Hi, Tom'?" "Sure," Bill agreed with a kind smile. I thanked him and went back to my seat. About 10 minutes later, my client showed up. We ordered a drink and we started to talk business. A couple of minutes later, I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was Bill Gates. "Hi, Tom," he said. I looked up and replied, "Fuck off, Bill. Can't you see I'm in a meeting?" Three older gentlemen, Frank, Harold, and Bill, are on a cruise that goes a bit off course, and they end up stranded on a remote island. After a couple of days with no food, they're weak and hungry when a local tribe finds them and brings them back to their village. The village chief says, "We'll give you a chance. Head into the forest and bring back a piece of fruit. Do that, and we'll decide your fate." Off they go, hoping for the best. Frank comes back first with a peach. The chief gives him a strange instruction. "Now take that peach and put it up your rear end. Whatever you do, don't laugh or we'll have to kill you." Frank gives it a go, but the fuzz tickles him and he bursts out laughing. The villagers shake their heads and escort him away. Next, Harold returns with a grape. Same instructions. He's doing just fine. Calm, focused, almost through it, when suddenly he starts laughing uncontrollably. Off he goes too. Later on, the two meet up in heaven. Frank says, "I couldn't help it. That peach was just too fuzzy. What happened to you? You were nearly done." Harold replies, "I was doing great until I saw Bill coming back from the forest carrying a pineapple." A young boy walks into a barber shop and the barber leans over to his customer. "Watch this. This is the dumbest kid alive." He pulls out $1 in one hand and 2 quarters in the other. "Which one do you want, kid?" The boy grabs the quarters and walks off. The barber laughs. "See? Every time." Later, the customer sees the boy leaving an ice cream shop. "Hey, why do you always take the quarters instead of the $1? The boy shrugs, takes a lick, and says, "Because the day I take the $1, the game is over." "Honey, can you please help me clean the garden?" "I look like a gardener?" "Sorry, honey. Okay, then fix the bathroom door." "Do I look like a carpenter?" Then the husband walks out. After coming from where he went, he found the garden clean and the door fixed. I knew my wife could do this all by herself. "It's not me." "Who then?" "John, our neighbor." "How much did you pay him?" "No money. He just gave 2 options, bread or sex." "Hope you gave him bread." "Do I look like a baker?" The 6th grade science teacher, Mrs. Parks, asked her class, which human body part increases to 10 times its size when stimulated? No one answered until little Mary stood up and said, "You should not be asking 6th graders a question like that. I'm going to tell my parents and they will go and tell the principal, who will then fire you." Mrs. Parks ignored her and asked the question again. Which body part increases to 10 times its size when stimulated? Little Mary's mouth fell open. Then she said to those around her, "Boy, is she going to get in big trouble." The teacher continued to ignore her and said to the class, "Anybody?" Finally, Billy stood up, looked around nervously, and said, "The body part that increases 10 times its size when stimulated is the pupil of the eye." Mrs. Parks said, "Very good, Billy," then turned to Mary and continued, "As for you, young lady, I have 3 things to say. 1, you have a dirty mind. 2, you didn't read your homework. And 3, one day you are going to be very, very disappointed." A young, beautiful teacher was giving her class of 6-year-olds a quiz. "Behind my back, I've got something red and round, and you can eat it. What is it?" she asked. "An apple," replied little Raymond. "No," said the teacher, "it's a tomato, but it shows you were thinking." "I've now got something round, a greenish color. You can eat it." "An apple," replied little Ian. "No, it's an onion, but it shows you were thinking." Little scruffy Johnny at the back of the class says, "I've got something under my desk that's an inch long, white, and it has a red end." "Dirty little boy," said the teacher. "No, it's a match, but it shows you were thinking," he answered. A man approaches a priest. "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned," he says. "I've spent the week with 7 beautiful women." "Do not fret, my son," says the priest. "All you need to do is take 7 lemons, squeeze the juice into a glass, and drink the juice. Will that cleanse my sin from me? No, but it'll wipe that f***ing smile off your face." 2 guys grow up together, but after college, one moves to New York and the other to Washington. They agree to meet every 10 years in Florida to play golf and catch up with each other. At the age of 32, they meet, finish their round of golf, and head for lunch. "Where do you want to go?" "Hooters." "Why Hooters?" "They have those servers with the big boobs, the tight shorts, and the gorgeous legs." "You're on." At age 42, they meet and play golf again. "Where do you want to go for lunch?" "Hooters." "Again? Why?" "They have cold beer, big screen TVs, and side action on the games." "Okay." At age 52, they meet and play again. "So where do you want to go for lunch?" "Hooters." "Why?" "The food is pretty good and there's plenty of parking." "Okay." At age 62, they meet again. After a round of golf, one says, "Where do you want to go?" "Hooters." "Why?" "Wings are half price and the food isn't too spicy." "Good choice." At age 72, they meet again. Once again, after a round of golf, one says, "Where should we go for lunch?" "Hooters." "Why?" "They have 6 handicapped parking spaces right by the door, and they have senior discounts." Great choice. At age 82, they meet and play again. "Where should we go for lunch?" "Hooters." "Why?" "Because we've never been there before." "Okay, let's give it a try." A man who knows little about cars takes his car into the mechanic for an oil change. After the mechanic finishes with the oil change, she comes out to talk to the man. "Well, I'm all done with the oil change, but I did notice something. It looks like your brake light fluid needs to be replaced." The man responds, "Oh, I don't think I've ever had that changed before. Go ahead and—" "Hey, wait a minute. Cars don't have brake light fluid." "You're right, you caught me," exclaims the mechanic, looking sheepish. "But in all seriousness, I was checking your tires and it looks like you need to have them rotated." "Do you think I'm a fool?" the man cries out. "My tires rotate on their own when I drive my car." A minister visited an asylum for the mentally disturbed and was taken on a tour of the facilities by one of the resident doctors. Walking down the dismal, echoing corridors, the minister was troubled by the cries and groans of the patients coming from their rooms. "I hope that I can be of some help and comfort to these poor souls," he told the doctor. The doctor stopped at a door, and they looked through the small window. "This is a sad case," said the doctor. The patient rocked back and forth on her cot, sobbing and sighing. "Peter," she repeated over and over. "Oh, Peter." She was to marry a man named Peter, said the doctor, and on their wedding day he ran off with another woman. It broke her heart, and she went mad. They moved on to another door and looked in. Inside, the patient was bound in a straitjacket, shrieking insanely, "Peter, Peter." "Let me guess," said the minister. "She lost Peter also?" "No, answered the man. "She's the one who got him." 3 elderly men are at the doctor for a memory test. The doctor says to the first man, "What is 3 times 3?" 274 was his reply. The doctor says to the second man, "It's your turn. What is 3 times 3?" "Tuesday," replies the second man. The doctor says to the third man, "Okay, your turn. What's 3 times 3?" "9," says the third man. "That's great," says the doctor. "How did you get that?" "Simple," says the third man. "I subtracted 274 from Tuesday." A young man who was a virgin had never known any kind of intimacy with a woman and was nervous about his wedding night. Picking up on his fear, his mother offered some advice. "Just gently rub her tummy and tell her you love her. She'll guide you the rest of the way." So that night, as they lay naked in bed, he began to rub her tummy and said, "I love you." She moaned, looked him in the eye, and said, "Lower." He smiled and said it again in a deeper voice. A very old man walked into a pharmacy and carefully placed a small box of birthday candles on the counter. The pharmacist smiled. "Big celebration?" "Yes," the man said proudly. "I'm turning 90 today." "Well, congratulations," the pharmacist replied. "How many candles do you need?" "Just one," the old man said. The pharmacist looked confused. "Only one? Don't you want 90? The old man shook his head. No, one is enough." A woman standing behind him laughed. "Come on, it's your 90th. You should go all out." The old man smiled politely. "Trust me, one is plenty." The pharmacist finally asked, "Why only one candle?" The old man leaned closer and said, "Because at my age, it takes me 3 tries just to blow out a match." I started my new job as a bingo caller last night, and halfway through calling the numbers, I farted loudly. My boss immediately came over and whispered in my ear, "Don't do that again." "Sorry," I said. "It must be the nerves." "Fair enough," he replied, "but there was no need to hold the microphone directly on your asshole." A tired old woman walked into a busy cafe and ordered a small cup of tea. The cashier said, "That'll be $3. She handed over a $100 bill. The cashier frowned. "Sorry, ma'am, we don't accept large bills for small orders. Do you have anything smaller?" The woman shook her head. "No, dear, that's all I have." The cashier pointed at a sign. "Store policy, you'll need exact change." The old woman nodded, took back her bill, and then said calmly, "All right then, I'll have 50 sandwiches, 20 coffees, and 10 slices of cake." The cashier blinked. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," the woman smiled. "I'm treating everyone." Now eager, the cashier rang everything up. The total came to $187. The old woman handed over the same $100 bill and another one from her purse. The cashier quickly counted the change and handed it back. The woman then said sweetly, "Actually, I've changed my mind. Cancel everything. I'll just take the tea." The cashier sighed and processed the refund. The old woman placed $3 on the counter, picked up her tea, and walked away. As she left, she turned and said, "Looks like you can break a large bill after all." An old blind Marine accidentally stumbles into an all-girl biker bar, completely unaware of his surroundings. After feeling his way to the bar, he takes a seat and orders a shot of Jack Daniels. As he settles in, he suddenly yells out, "Hey, anyone here want to hear a blonde joke?" The room goes dead silent. From beside him, a deep, authoritative voice calmly responds, "Before you go any further, I think you should know a few things." The voice continues, 1. The bartender is a blonde woman with a baseball bat. 2. The bouncer is also a blonde woman. 3. I'm a blonde 6-foot-tall, 175-pound black belt in karate. 4. The woman sitting next to me is a blonde professional weightlifter. And 5. The lady on your other side is a blonde professional wrestler. The room stays silent as the Marine pauses to process what he just heard. After a moment, he chuckles softly and says, "You know what? Forget it. I don't feel like explaining the joke 5 times." A man moved to a new city and became a regular at a small diner. Every morning, he ordered 3 cups of coffee. He'd line them up in front of him and take a sip from each one in order, left, middle, and right, repeating the cycle until all 3 were gone. After a few days, the waitress finally asked, "Why don't you just drink 1 before it gets cold?" The man smiled. "I've got 2 best friends. One moved to Canada, the other to Australia. Back home, we used to drink coffee together every morning. Now I order 3, 1 for each of us." The waitress thought that was sweet, and the man kept up the routine for months. Then, one morning, he came in and ordered only 2 cups. The staff exchanged worried looks. The waitress gently placed the cups down and said softly, "I'm really sorry. I hope everything's okay." The man looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Well," she said carefully, "you only ordered 2 coffees today." The man laughed. "Oh, no, they're both fine. I just switched to decaf." A man was lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to oxygen, recovering from surgery. A young student nurse came in to give him a partial sponge bath. Through the mask, he mumbled, "Nurse, are my testicles black?" The nurse froze, flustered. "Sir, I'm only assigned to clean your upper body and feet," she said softly. But the man insisted again, "Please, can you check? Are my testicles black?" Worried his anxiety might affect his recovery, she hesitated but decided to help. Gently, she pulled back the covers, lifted his gown, and carefully examined everything. After a thorough check, she said kindly, "Sir, everything looks perfectly normal. No signs of anything wrong." The man slowly lifted his oxygen mask, gave a weak grin, and said, "Thanks, but I was just asking, are my test results back?" A blonde driving a car became lost in a snowstorm. She didn't panic, however, because she remembered what her dad had once told her. If you ever get stuck in a snowstorm, just wait for a snowplow to come by and follow it. Sure enough, pretty soon a snowplow came by, and she started to follow it. She followed the plow for about 45 minutes. Finally, the driver of the truck got out and asked her what she was doing, and she explained that her dad had told her if she ever got stuck in a snowstorm to follow a plow. The driver nodded and said, "Well, I'm done with the Walmart parking lot. Do you want to follow me over to Best Buy now?" A young comedian had been struggling to get laughs anywhere he went. One day, an older comic told him about a small gig at a local retirement home. "Now, don't expect much," he said. "A lot of the folks there have memory problems." Still, the young comedian took the job and showed up nervous as could be. He told his first joke, and the room burst into laughter. It felt amazing. His confidence shot right up. Then he remembered what the older comic had said, so he told the same joke again, and they laughed even harder. Pretty soon, he just kept repeating it over and over. The crowd loved it, big laughs every single time. In the back of the room, one older gentleman sat quietly, watching him closely. The comedian never noticed and finished his whole set the same way. As he was leaving, the man in the back stopped him. "Son, I've got to ask you something," he said. "How in the world do you remember all those jokes?" A single mother wakes up from a coma after giving birth to twins. She asks the doctor, "Where are my babies? I want to see my babies." The doctor replies, "Not to worry. Your babies are safe and at home with your brother. You had 2 healthy babies, a boy and a girl. But unfortunately, I do have some bad news." Immediately thinking the worst, the mother asks, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" "Well, you were recovering for a long time," the doctor says solemnly. "We had to give the children a name. Your brother chose them." Shocked, the mother asks, "What did he name the girl?" The doctor lets out a sigh and says, "Denise." "Oh," the mother says, "that's a lovely name. What about the boy?" The doctor places a hand on the mother's shoulder. Shaking his head, he says, "De-nephew." One Sunday morning, Pastor Daniel stood before the congregation and said the church needed a little extra help with expenses. "We're hoping everyone can give whatever they're able today," he said kindly. "And just for fun, whoever donates the most gets to choose 3 hymns for the choir to sing." The offering plates were passed around, and after the service, the pastor looked through the donations. Suddenly, his eyes widened. Right on top was a $1,000 bill. The pastor smiled and said, "Someone here has been incredibly generous today, and I'd love to thank them personally." From the last row, a small elderly woman slowly raised her hand. The pastor invited her to the front and said, "Ma'am, thank you so much for your kindness. As promised, you may now choose 3 hymns." The little lady looked out over the congregation with a big smile, then pointed toward the front row. "I'll take hymn, hymn, and hymn." The whole church burst out laughing. An older man was riding his moped in a snowstorm to visit a priest to tell him that his 12th child had been born that day. Since the man was old and had a bit of trouble hearing, he thought ahead to what the priest would say so he could answer him. First, he'll say hello, and then he'll probably ask me how I managed to get there in such a snowstorm. When the man reached the priest's house, the following conversation was had. Priest: "Hello." Old man: "Hello." Priest: "How have you managed to father 12 children already?" Old man: "There's nothing to it. Just strap in your beanie and helmet and ride the old girl as fast as you can." A drunk stumbles along at a baptismal service on Sunday afternoon down by the river. He proceeds to walk down into the water and stand next to the preacher. The minister turns and notices the old drunk and says, "Mister, are you ready to find Jesus?" The drunk looks back and says, "Yes, preacher, I sure am." The minister then dunks the fellow under the water and pulls him right back up. "Have you found Jesus?" the preacher asked. "No, I didn't," said the drunk. The preacher then dunks him under for quite a bit longer, brings him up and says, "Now, brother, have you found Jesus?" "No, I did not, Reverend." The man, in disgust, holds the man under for at least 30 seconds this time, brings him out of the water, and says in a harsh tone, "My good man, have you found Jesus yet?" The old drunk wipes his eyes and asks the preacher, "Are you sure this is where he fell in?"